pool cleaning, maintenance, and repair business, you wouldn't describe it as a sexy business.
Right.
But for me, it is because it's recurring services, it's predictable, it's scalable. We know who our target customers are and the services that we offer. We averaged over $1,550 per customer last year in revenue across the entire country. As we serviced, as I said, almost 14,000 customers. So that predictability and scalability, and then knowing who our target customer base, those are things that, in my mind, make it a lot more sexy business.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we're going to welcome in one of our franchise partners. And today's franchise is a delightfully unsexy brand that offers a simple yet premium level recurring service that also has the ability to have some add-ons that we can throw at our customers as well. It is a very low investment, low overhead, simple, small staff, yet gives the owners the ability to grow quickly into multiple territories. Sounds pretty cool. Before we get to them, as always, a quick reminder of who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself who are interested in possibly owning a franchise. We are partnered with well over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 70 industries. Our number one goal is to help properly educate you to determine if franchise ownership is the right fit for you. And if so, goal number two is to help you find your absolute best fit as a franchise. All right, so that's a bit about us. Now let's get to the important stuff, which is our guest. And joining us today is Mr. Michael Wagner. And Michael is the president of our featured franchise, which is Pool Scouts. Michael, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Tim. Happy to be here.
We are excited to have you join us today, and hope you are buckled up for, I don't know, a good like 150 questions that we're gonna fire at you. We'll laugh, we'll cry, it'll be fun today. I certainly want to learn all about Pool Scouts, the amazing folks at Buzz Brands, which you're a part of. We want to talk about them again. But franchising, as we were just kind of joking about before we came on, is a people business. So I'd like to get to know more about the people. And so tell us a little bit, give us the Michael scoop, and in particular, how in the world did you get into franchising?
Well, and by many cases, it's a lot of kind of luck in a way of meeting people at the right time and the right place and creating a connection, and then that connection ending up turning into a great opportunity. And in my case, my background prior to coming into franchising was really on the corporate side of things. And while I wasn't in franchising, I was developing and running wholly owned subsidiaries for really two different organizations. And so they were wholly owned. So we ultimately employed the people that were running the businesses. But in the case of the first business, it was with a company called Coastal Training Technologies. And we did really a ton around manufacturing and safety skills training. We had platforms, learning management systems, and content deliverable in multiple formats. And my job was to take that business and bring it around the world. And so I started with our first subsidiary in Brazil, and then opened up offices in Spain, Netherlands, Germany, Mexico, the Philippines, India, and ultimately that company became part of DuPont. We sold the company to DuPont. So
Oh,
I
wow.
worked for DuPont for 3 years. And so it was really around building that unit economic model that we already had an example of with the United States, and then replicating that around the world. I left there and then I went into banking, but really specifically for a credit union. It's a large credit union based here in Virginia Beach, but with presence in Texas and Utah. And we had 62 branches that were involved in banking, consumer banking. We had a business lending platform, credit cards, obviously all the kind of normal banking products that you see out there. And it was, once again, it was around having 61 branches and replicating an experience and unit economic model as well. So all this kind of translated into when my daughter, who's now 24, and Kevin Wilson, who's our CEO and founder, has a son they were at a birthday party together when our kids were like 4 years old, and Kevin and I met and kind of hit it off and stayed in touch over the years. And as I had gone through the transition from Coastal to DuPont and to the credit union, I was really looking for another kind of entrepreneurial type opportunity. And Kevin had made the decision to take Buzz Franchise Brands into building a second brand. And I was fortunate to be able to come on in 2015 to start that brand. We, at that point, had decided to get into the swimming pool space, which was very fragmented. We felt like really in need of a great brand and franchise opportunity was there. So I came on board in 2015 and have been here ever since then. Working a way to build Pool Scouts into a household name for pool owners around the country. Fortunately, our team of people here is incredible. We're now up to I think we're up to 75 or maybe even 80 employees across all of our brands in Buzz Franchise Brands. Many of the same people that were here building Mosquito Joe, which was our first brand,
Mhm.
are here. So we've got really a wealth of expertise and just a great workplace culture. It's a great place to work, and I'm proud to be here.
It's crazy to think. I love the stories that people share of how they get into this, and almost every time it's some sort of dumb luck. This is the first one that involved a 4-year-old's birthday party. So, who knew clowns and balloon animals and whatever is going on at that was. But it's crazy how that happens. And you mentioned Buzz, and I want to talk about that more. But it is. I think you can tell a lot about an organization by the tenure of people there, right? And if it's a constant revolving door, and even and I know we'll talk about this relative to pool scouts, but people talk about this in franchising. Oh, the labor market, it's blah blah blah. I'm like, it's not the labor market, it's the shortage of really good leaders. If people are leaving you all the time, look in the mirror because it is probably you as the leader that's forcing them to have that revolving door versus having a place with a great culture, great work environment. They stick, they don't go anywhere. Like why would you? So I know that's super, definitely the case there at Buzz Brands. And I believe also in the headquarters, isn't there like a ping pong table or something? There's like
Yeah.
we can get that going too, right?
We got a ping pong table, we got a foosball table, and of course a pool table. We have happy hours on Friday afternoon. Tim, you hit it on the nail on the head. We've created a culture here, and franchising, and the work that we do in the case of Pool Scouts, the daily billable time, as I call it, is really Monday through Friday, mostly in daylight hours. That's the time we're out there cleaning, maintaining, repairing people's swimming pools. We work on Saturdays and opening and closing seasons or when there's a weather event. But at the end of the day, that's the time that we have our billable hours. But our time to support franchisees is whenever they need it. And
Right.
honestly, we feel like creating a great culture in our organization is really, going to allow and make sure that our everybody is involved in franchise support here, every one of us. We're going to answer the phone on Sunday night at 8 o'clock to have a conversation with a franchisee. And so culturally, it's about putting the franchisees first, but creating a great workplace culture, which we have, and we've won a ton of awards of best place to work, not only here in Virginia Beach where we're located, but some national things as well. That really just helps us create the right workplace culture where people stay. They want to come work here. I mentioned a story earlier where we had one of our franchise development people who was an intern here and now is just knocking it out of the park in franchise development. A young guy who's built an incredible career here already. But
Yep.
we have multiple interns that have come back and worked full time here as well. And I think that's just a part parcel to the culture that we have in our organization. That flows through to the support of franchisees too, and it makes it a fun place to work. Now, one of our core values is literally have fun, and we walk the talk, whether it's a
Yeah.
happy hour or whether it's just making it a great workplace environment. It's a lot of fun to work here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I don't know that I've been invited to one of those happy hours yet. I'm a long ways away, but
Wow.
There's a ping pong table and the aforementioned intern, our pal Austin. I will happily kick his ass at ping pong. So or I'll just quit halfway through. And at my age, I might pull a hammy. So, um, tell us a little bit about. Let's get to the stuff we're supposed to be talking about. So,
Sure.
um, Pool Scouts. Want to get into the business model and owner and all that stuff, but let's start with the basics of Pool Scouts. Probably has something to do with swimming pools. I'm going to
Yeah.
guess. Um, Talk to us a little bit about the services that are provided and kind of who those customers are.
Yeah, Tim, what we do, first of all, we start out with who do we focus on? Our focus is on residential pool owners. So, I have a graphic that we use in some of our, presentations, and it's literally it's a single family home with a pool in the backyard, and I've got this kind of target around there. So many businesses out there have a really broad customer base. And for us, our base of customers is based on how we build our territories in the case of franchising. And those are based on single family homes with in ground pools with incomes above $100,000. And so we know who those people are, and that's who we target as our prospective customers. Then on top of that, we focus on regular recurring service. So we averaged 18 services last year per customer across the entire country. We're in 18 different states. We have 47 unique franchisees and around just under 100 locations around the country, of which we have about 76 that are open so far. So we know who we are trying to target and we know what we do. So weekly pool cleaning and maintenance is what we do as our mainstay product. But then we offer, of course, repair services and some more robust things like liner replacements, safety cover installation, and then some refinishing of pools through partners that we've created around the country. So we take those recurring relationships and we build more share of the wallet value out of those relationships that we got. Last year, we serviced close to 14,000 customers across the country. That number this year will be likely to be about 18 to 19,000 across the country. So that's a lot of recurring relationships to build upon. Our business model is simple. You got a technician in the truck who's going out into the backyards and providing service, usually Monday through Fridays, as I mentioned. And then depends on the market and the density of customers, but we could service 8 to 14 customers in a day with a single technician in a vehicle. So we have that side, which is kind of the field-oriented billable hour work, and then we have the office side of things, which is often played by the franchisee, which is answering the phone, scheduling the jobs, making sure they have the products and materials to do the work, and then obviously following up from an administrative and sales perspective. So that's the business in a nutshell.
Gotcha. And that the one of the things that I always think is fascinating and borderline creepy is the mapping software franchises have, right? Like to know, just the people, like which ones have a pool. How do you know I have a pool in my backyard, right? Like all of those things. So when you're trying to figure out as a potential franchisee, like, well, you can drive by, everybody's house. Everybody has a yard that's going to need landscaped. Every house should get cleaned, right? Somebody should be doing it, not always.
Right.
You really have no idea what's in the backyard. To be able to build out those territories properly. It just like the amount of data and information and everything that is compiled to know what that looks like. I just creepy is the word that always kind of comes to mind. But when people see it, and I think it kind of puts them at ease of like, oh my gosh, look how detailed this is. You're gonna know how many, where they are, how to target those people all in that kind of that marketing side. It's just crazy.
It is. It even comes into play on, when we get a prospect, which is, or most of the time when a prospective customer contacts us, whether it's through our, websites across the, franchisees or over the phone, they're ready to buy right then. Like literally, the answer is usually, if I could be there today, they would say yes, right?
Right.
Because most of the time there's a real need there. But when we're talking to a prospective customer, we can type in their address and we can look at their house, we can look at their pool in their backyard, And if they don't know some of the answers that we need to know about preparing the technician to do a good job, sometimes we can look and we can see how big the pool is, and we can ask them more succinct questions to prepare our technicians to be able to do a great job. So to your point, there's just really a ton of information out there that helps us recruit customers and do a good job on that first service, which is always the most challenging one.
Yeah, exactly. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a moment to spotlight one of our premier franchise partners, Conserva Irrigation. Conserva Irrigation is a rare home service brand in that it hits on all three home service niches, which are enhance, maintain, and repair. Conserva does this because it can install a brand new irrigation system, it can repair an existing one, and it can maintain the system you already have to ensure it constantly works properly. Conserva Irrigation was founded on the key principles of water conservation. The company's innovative technology is designed to help clients reduce water use from irrigation by up to 60%. This is going to save clients tons of money while conserving the planet's water. And as someone who lives in the desert, folks, it's easy to see the importance of being smart with our water supply. Conserva looks for owners, not the people out doing the work. And as part of Empower Brands, the support a franchise owner will receive is truly second to none. Here at Fran Coach, we love helping people find the perfect franchise for them to own. And maybe, just maybe, it is Conserva Irrigation. Get in touch with us today to learn more about becoming a Conserva franchise owner, and let us help you create your better tomorrow. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. So talk a little bit about a very simple business model. We talked about having the technician and out servicing the pool. You use the word technician out servicing the pool, not the owner servicing the pool. It's a pretty simple thing to learn. I've halfway taught my 10-year-old how to kind of clean hours. I don't know that you're going to want to hire him just yet, but
Yeah, no,
fairly,
we'll wait
fairly,
8 years.
fairly simple. But do owners do that? Do you want them to, or do you want them staying completely away from that so they can do other things?
Yeah, so we mandate they get trained on doing anything. So I mean, I would liken this to any franchise concept or business for that matter. You got to understand what the actual business is and how to do the work, so you can step in and when necessary. That would be like saying if you own a restaurant, are you the ones cooking? Not necessarily, but you better know how to cook them because
Right.
sometimes things happen, right? So no, we really, I mean, that's an old adage, but working um, on your business as opposed to in your business. And really, I think we train our franchisees to be able to do the field work, but ultimately, franchisees should not be doing the day-to-day, cleaning and work. They should be focused on building the business, building the customer base, managing the technicians and employees, and growing things. And we certainly, from day one of the franchise development process, talk about that. Now, when they come on board, and we're onboarding this week 2 new franchisees, one from South Carolina, one from Philadelphia. We're training them on the business side of things this week, and we do a lot of that training virtually. And then next week, they'll be here in Virginia Beach, hopefully sunny Virginia Beach, doing their field training for the week, where they'll be out cleaning pools and learning repair and learning everything that we teach. And then there's an ongoing component to training and teaching others as well. So yes, we don't, that's not the mainstay work of an owner is to be the technician, but rather they do need to know the basics and understand what they're doing.
Yeah, no, and I like your restaurant analogy. I always say, like, a McDonald's owner learns how to make French fries, but it's not their job to make the fries all
Yep.
day, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you talked about being able to really grow the business. And so for people listening, like, okay, well, what the heck does that mean? Talk a little bit about what are some of those things an owner might do during a given day to again help grow and manage the business.
Right, it's a great question, Tim. And I think one of the powers of Buzz franchise brands, and certainly of Pool Scouts, is the marketing side of things. Really, we do a lot to get the phone to ring for the franchisees. We call it really our three-pronged approach to marketing. We have direct mail, and think about mentioning earlier single family homes, in-ground pools, incomes above $100,000. We target market to those folks by putting postcards at a right time with the right message to those households. That's one component. It's the most prolific branding exercise that we do to specific households as well. The second side is digital. As part of the Power of Buzz franchise brands, we manage and handle search engine optimization in-house for the franchisees. So we take care of their websites, and then we take care of SEO for the websites. And then we help them manage their paid campaigns through an agency we work with to help them bring in digital customers, which is a multitude of tasks that happen there. And then finally, I think what you're getting at here is this local marketing component. We love business owners to be present in their community, and I call it the shaking hands and kissing babies side of
Right.
things, but it's being an owner in your business. If you think about our most mature franchisees will service over 1,000 customers in their business area this year. And so when you think about that's a lot of branding and a lot of relationships that are out there. So people that are willing to put themselves out there as a member of the Chamber of Commerce or BNI groups or networking groups or those kinds of things are more successful at the end of the day as the business owner. And there's lots of ways to do that. And we support that as well through media creation with our in house team of creative folks. But at the end of the day, that takes the franchisee's time more so often than money to be
Right.
the business owner in the community. So we like folks that kind of employ this three-pronged approach to marketing, which we do a lot to support.
Yeah, it's time or money, you choose, right? And so I think years ago I had a house in the suburb of Phoenix when I was selling it and had a pool. When I was buying it, I had never owned a home with a pool before, and I'm like, I, first thing I said was to my realtor, like who do you have for this? And because every realtor is going to have this answer, I got a guy for you, right?
Yeah,
The best referral sources on the planet are realtors, right? They have like whatever you need. So, like you said, being able to take that time and get out and connect is really key. And you mentioned it's funny you mentioned, like, people can wrap their head around they don't know how to do it, but they wrap their head around the digital, right? The SEO, the paper well, it's not pay per click anymore, but the Google ads and the social media and all
right.
of that stuff. And then they'll turn their nose up at direct mail and like, ugh, that doesn't work. I'm like, I bet you anything in your kitchen, right? You've got a drawer that's got some of these things in there,
Yeah,
right? And it may sit in there for 6 months, because well, my pool guy's okay, he's okay, he's okay, he's not so okay. Wait, I have something somewhere. Let me pick up the phone and call. So,
sure. Yeah.
um, the other thing that comes up, I think, a lot with I think just outdoor businesses in general, the seasonality, right? So, okay, like you live in Arizona, you live in Florida, whatever, it's a pool. We can get out there. We can be pretty spoiled with how often we can get out there, but not so much in the north. So there's, oh my gosh, like Michael, there's no way this would work in the north. But you just mentioned a new order coming on in Philadelphia, which last time I checked is north. How does that work? What like how
Yeah,
like
no, it's a great question, Tim, and we're in Connecticut. We've got to meet the team day next week for Woburn, Massachusetts. We're in Boise, Idaho, Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois. We're in Maryland. So we're in plenty of seasonal markets out there. The seasonal markets offer what I call the bookends of business, and they're openings and closings of residential swimming pools. And those are high ticket items that are also spectacular customer acquisition opportunities to get those regular weekly recurring services on top of that. So we've shown great success in seasonal markets. We illustrate that in our item 19, our financial representation, kind of the differentiation between the seasonal and the year-round markets. Obviously, we capture a lot more revenue per service in seasonal markets, and then you have those openings and closings, as well as opportunities. We sell and install pool safety covers, as an example, which is a kind of another aspect of the seasonal markets versus the year-round markets.
Yeah.
So we like them all. Honestly, we have great, and believe it or not, the top 5 residential pool states, one of those is New York, and then, it's right behind Arizona.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so those are California, Florida, Texas, New York, Arizona are the 5 top states. So really, we look for areas where there's a ton of residential swim pools, and
Yeah.
in seasonal and year-round, it works well.
Yeah, and I think sometimes if people like aren't from the from the north, they don't understand that open and close, or that like you said, the price per service is going to be higher. There's more of a premium on being outside in the summertime in the north than there is in the south. We're spoiled, right? Like
Yep.
it's gonna be 80 some degrees tomorrow. Like we could probably like crank the heater up just a tiny bit and get in the pool tomorrow. And we're totally ruining how this really works in the real world because this is recorded the first part of April, right? So like we can't do that. And where that's not necessarily the case. So I know I'm sure you get that often from people anywhere in the northern half, like, oh no, this won't work. There's no way. When in fact it's completely possible and doable and can be just as profitable. So um what's what are we missing here about Pool Scouts that maybe we haven't talked about that you really want to make sure everybody is fully aware of?
Tim, I think one of the things I like to always position our brand when I'm talking to anybody who's interested in it. I think if you think of a brand of product or service, every one of them, they've got a position, and our position is one of a premium service. And the ability to differentiate Pool Scouts from the competitors is pretty substantial. Number one, we're a brand that's nationwide. We stand behind our work with the Scout guarantee. We have background checked, uniformed, insured, bonded technicians in branded vehicles showing up with the right tools and the right equipment to do the right job every single time and have that be backed up by a Scout guarantee. It starts with the marketing of that premium message and that service that we offer. We have an NPS right now of 88. We finished the year last year at 79 as a total system. That score and those scores, you can put us against any premium service brand, and those are just, exceptional scores to see. So our customers really appreciate the premium level service that we provide. We're not cheap and we don't want to be cheap. We want to be able
Right.
to provide value in the way of exceptional service and the ability to stand out from the pool service perspective, where there's a ton of mom and pop businesses out there, which some are great, but the standards historically have been relatively low,
Yeah.
and our standards are high and getting higher as we move forward. So I think that's it. And then just when I look at our business model and you talk about recurring services and recurring revenue, which people ask me about our business, and I love the statement. I say, you know what, the pool cleaning, maintenance, and repair business, you wouldn't describe it as a sexy business.
Right.
But for me, it is because it's recurring services, it's predictable, it's scalable. We know who our target customers are and the services that we offer. We averaged over $1,550 per customer last year in revenue. across the entire country. As we serviced, as I said, almost 14,000 customers. So that predictability and scalability, and then knowing who our target customer base, those are things that, in my mind, make it a lot more sexy business.
Yeah.
So I think the opportunity is great to really stand out and to grow our brand across the country. We've had some COVID was, believe it or not, very friendly to the pool business. People were investing more time, energy, and money in their homes than ever. You had
Yep.
cheap money and people investing in it. They weren't able to go places in the beginning. So pool construction really over the past 3 years has just exploded across the country, which means there's a lot more to clean, maintain, and repair.
Yeah. And I love your comment about the competition because it's something that I think oftentimes it's a fear-based concern from people looking at any franchise. Oh, there's a lot of competition. Oh, there's a lot of competition. Which and sometimes there's competition. It's like Walgreens across from CVS. Well, there's just the need for it so we can have these two things here. But I also like in a kind of a franchise, a service brand that really is focused on that premium, high quality service in this case, like, you don't really look at the others as competition, right? Like, Billy Bob and his beat up pickup truck with the pool equipment sticking out is not who you're gonna look at as competition, because it's gonna be cheaper, but it's not gonna be as reliable, it's not gonna be as good of a service, and this isn't something you wanna mess around with. These are high dollar investments you're sticking in your backyard, right?
Yeah.
So again, and I always like I probably still have it on my maybe on my phone, but years ago, literally there were I had Billy Bob like cleaning my pool, and I was kind of like I didn't think he was doing a good job, so I kind of wanted to catch him and working from home. I literally I videoed him. I watched him come out. He sat down, put his feet in the pool, right? Lit up a cigarette. He was scrolling through his phone. What he was looking for was pictures from the last time he was there, before and after. And I'm looking on my phone, he sends me, "Hey, look what it looked like, look what it looks now." Licked a cigarette and took off. And that was all like, he took the time to do that and not actually clean, right? And you're like, when people think about competition of something like Pool Scouts, that's the quote competition, and it's not like you're just gonna be significantly better, like, all across the board from that. So I love that. The one last question I wanted to ask that I kind of forgot, you talked about the owner role. Are you guys open to someone being semi-absentee at the start?
Yeah, I think if semi-absentee owners need to come in with the right perspective, and the right perspective is, our business is about building this revenue base and then building on top of that. And so if you add a manager into the business, and nowadays you might be paying a manager 50 to $70,000 a year to run your business. You have to realize that's going to push out your break even point further in your business. And we offer up to 3 territories per franchise. And so I think, if you're looking at expanding across multiple territories, then the semi-absentee owner opportunity could work for the right candidates that have that mindset and understanding that they're going to have to invest in building the business and
Right.
also paying somebody to help them build that business.
Yeah.
So our most mature franchisees, like I mentioned, will service over 1,000 customers, and they have multiple people working in the business, and the
Yeah.
not only on the technician side, but on the office side of the business as well. So
Yeah.
I think those businesses build based on the owner and their aspirations and growth. But for us, it's a formulaic approach. Like, we know who the number of target customers are in a territory. I mentioned the territories. They're up to 10,000 households. So it could be anywhere from 6,500 to 10,000 target households. So you know who the addressable audience is within a territory. And then we look at how we continually build that customer base up and build the efficiency of that customer base up as we get more route density.
Yeah.
So if that's an answer, it's a little bit of a long one, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. You got, if you're gonna, and I would say this is true with any business opportunity. If you're gonna go out there and you're gonna invest in a business, and you're going to invest in somebody else running the business, then you realize that you're taking some of your investment because you're
Right.
building time into that equation for the profitability side as well.
Yeah. Time or money, right? It's which one. And again, you got to pay that person. I think that's the misconception sometimes. Oh, I can keep my job and run the business without hiring anybody. And that's not like that's
Yeah.
not the case. You hire that person, it'll stretch out your break even, but you also have that job or other business, whatever that's bringing in your income. So, so good. Always want to make sure we address that too. So, Michael, super cool to be able to talk with you today, and great to meet you. I'm a huge fan of Buzz Brands, and for some reason this is the one we hadn't talked to yet. So you were last but certainly not least on the podcast spiel, and thankfully this time it wasn't Austin, it was you. So that's even better. So thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about Pool Scouts.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thanks to Michael, and of course, all of our loyal podcast listeners for tuning in again this week. We hope, as always, these episodes provide some insight into the amazing possibilities that are out there and help you understand franchise ownership is significantly more attainable than you probably thought before you tuned in. What are you waiting for, folks? Reach out to our team, schedule that first call today to start learning a little bit more. There's never any fee for our service. Again, this is all about getting you properly educated. You're going to find us, francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Everything with us is .net. Reach out today. Let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll talk with you next week.